You are now tuned in to The Money Zone with your host, Folasade, the accountant for entrepreneurs. The time is now, your future waits, your money matters, make no mistake, it's not too late to dominate, so don't delay, get your money straight. The money zone, together we'll achieve your goals, we're building wealth, you're not alone, so don't delay, get your money straight.
Maintain it. So we're going to have these discussions today. Chan is messaging me. She said they said nobody's answering Trump.
Nobody's here.
Okay.
Tell them
So
to log off and come back in.
well, I wouldn't know. Okay, guys. So what we're going to do, we're going to let Jeff come into the studio, give you guys some time to share the feed, because I'm excited to talk about lending, because many of you don't realize that as you're scaling your business, you're going to need lend funding as well. You may not think you need it right now during this COVID or the pandemic, right? But if you're trying to hit that $1 million mark, you may need some extra coins for your Facebook ads or for your influencer campaigns or things like that. So guys, today's topic is what all of you need to hear. What is the future of lending for small businesses? So guys, do me one favor, like the video, share the video, and then tell your good girlfriends Folasade is having a discussion about Funding Girl, and come into the discussion. So we're going to take a quick break, allow Jeff to come in, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, we are back. I am so excited. You know, we're winding down. I think I have one more show in the studio. Is it one or two more shows for the rest of the year? I have one more show, guys, before I depart all of you and be in 2021, right? So I'm excited because this is the time for us to like buckle down, get a handle of our money, get a handle of our lives, our future, and regroup. You know, we're supposed to be dynamic, ever changing, every year, every month. Even if they say, you know, you acting brand new, actually this is the time for all of us to start acting brand new and start to act the way that we need to. So with that being said, we also as business owners really need to know what is the future of lending, because many of you are going to be hitting your 7 figures goals coming up in 2021, and you need to know, are the banks lending? Are the banks giving any funding? So Trump, can you let Jeff into the room?
He's on the audio.
Hey Jeff, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. I did not want to butcher your last name. How do you pronounce your last
No,
name?
it's Lisle. Thanks.
Oh, yes. Yep. Okay, I was right then. I didn't butcher your name. Oh, I'm excited that you've come and graced your presence here on the Money Zone. We are so appreciative of you today. And we apologize for the technical difficulties that we were having as well and delayed today's show. But let's jump right in. If you could just tell the audience a little bit about Vista Bank.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you all for having us on and giving us the opportunity to speak with you. As far as Vista Bank's concerned, we are what I would consider and classify ourselves as a community bank in the truest sense of the word, in the sense that we truly have branch locations and people in the communities that we serve. We have 15 locations across Texas, 11 of which are out in West Texas around Lubbock and surrounding areas, and then 3 in the more metropolitan areas of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin. So we've been around for 100+ years now, and are excited about what the future holds.
That's longevity in the business. 100+ years, 15 location guys, and they consider themselves the community bank. And as a small business owner myself, I always have advised individuals to have their pot in both hands. You want a relationship with the big banks, but you also want a relationship with the community banks, the banks that's in your neighborhood, the ones where your teller would know your name, your bank manager will remember you. So do you advise clients to do the same thing, to have a balance between the two, or you just all for small community banks?
Absolutely, and I say that from the standpoint of I grew up in a smaller town, and that's the way that I was raised and the way that I experienced life. And originally was just knowing everybody that we interacted with, and then coming to the city, I realized pretty quickly that I'm a creature of habit, and I get to go into the same places and interacting with the same people, but what I found truly is that our clients have valued and expressed an appreciation for that relationship that we build, and knowing, how was your kid's baseball game last weekend, and how was your daughter's dance recital, or whatever the case may be, and we truly take an interest and try to develop a rapport and relationship with our clients beyond just the dollars and cents, beyond the debits and credits. We want to know how we can help our clients, and we try to invest in the communities that we serve, from sponsorships and all down the line of how can we make a difference beyond just having this relationship and being a bank and a lender in the traditional sense.
You know what? I love that. As a business owner, we can never operate in a traditional sense. So for your bank to even have that mindset that that's what you want to operate, so you guys can deal with the non-traditions of being in business. So my first question for you, as a result of the pandemic, what are the things that your bank has been able to put in place to continue to provide the quality of services that even some of our clients, I even have some clients in Texas, well, a lot of clients in Texas, use your service. So, and that was interesting too, to provide quality of service to your customers.
Yeah, thank you. No, I would say fantastic question. And as we all know, 2020 has been a year like no other, right? And the first thing I would say is that we saw a tremendous amount of need in the community for relationships with small businesses. And I say that from the standpoint of there was a time in which we all were scrambling and wondered what tomorrow looked like, right? If we all recall back in March and April when the lockdowns and the different things that the local and statewide and national governments were mandating on how to, how to react to what was happening, a lot of the first calls we got from our borrowers were, hey, what programs and what ability do we have to survive this? And thankfully, our leadership in our organization dove headfirst into the CARES Act. That if your viewers and listeners aren't familiar with, the CARES Act was a program that was passed by Congress that included the PPP loan program as well as another loan program called the Main Street Loan Program. And those collectively have been a tremendous asset for small business owners and communities across this nation. And those two programs, the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP program, first and foremost, was a lifeline in the truest sense of the word, where the government said, okay, we recognize that your business was interrupted in 2020 by no fault of your own, and that this pandemic was something that nobody saw coming. And so we're going to make this forgivable loan program to you via our banking partners. And it wasn't just Vista Bank, it was banks across the nation that offered this product. But what we found in hindsight was that community banks tended to field those requests and were able to facilitate the program a lot smoother from what we've heard than a lot of the larger organizations, just because we did have those direct lines of communications with our partners, with our clients, and we were able to serve them. But the government thankfully put that together in a very quick manner. It was an imperfect program. There were a lot of changes along the way for both the bank and the borrowers as well. That there were several program changes and clarifications along the way, but all in all, in the end, we truly feel like it was a great resource for small businesses and one in which we were thankful to be able to facilitate on behalf of our clients and others that were able to not receive or weren't able to receive help from their prior bank elsewhere.
You know what, Jeff, I want to say thank you actually because we were scrambling from the accountant standpoint to come up with the calculator so we can figure out the total income of the amount that they can qualify for. We were scrambling. So I can imagine what you guys were going through behind the scenes to comply with SBA regulations and then Congress, keeping up with the information. So I can imagine the pressure. You're probably still, drained like I'm presently am and feel like I'm still in the midst of everything. And from my experience with helping clients apply for the PPP loan, the big banks failed us, Jeff. The big banks failed us. Only a few of my clients, and they were the ones that were multimillionaires, already making millions of dollars, they were approved by the big banks. But that was after we haggled them. That was after we had to throw in their face that, you never even opened up the application portal. It was an absolute mess. So I just want to say thank you guys for putting it out there and getting the job done for the smaller businesses, because they really did need that funding. So in your opinion, how important do you think the relationship with your banker is?
I think, obviously not biased over here, but I think it's like next to your spouse and significant other and your preacher, we're right up there in the top three, right? But outside of that, I mean, look, they say, there's two people you don't lie to in life, and that's your doctor and your banker, right? And so there are certain circumstances that we can be one of your best resources to help you resolve. And we always say in the community banking space, there's a difference between a banker and a lender. A lender is somebody that you can go to and get money. A banker is someone who will help consult with you and talk through something. And when you have those decisions that you're coming up on, that you're trying to decide, hey, do I need to do this? Do I need to spend money there? Should I take on this debt or invest in this new venture? Those are things that we have seen and experienced and walked through with so many of our clients, that we can sometimes offer a perspective that may be beneficial for you. And look, we're only in business because our clients are in business. And we only have a job because there's entrepreneurs out there like yourselves who are making the world go round. But at the same time, we do have the benefit of sitting on the other side of the desk, where we get a hodgepodge and an assortment of views and what works and what doesn't. So we try to give you beneficial advice and recommendations where we can. And of course, everything is always confidential with your banker, just like the preacher. But we try to be impactful in a way that we can make a difference beyond just the debits and credits and beyond just making you a loan, because we realize there is no shortage of banks out there, and that's where I feel community banks put themselves in a different position than perhaps your larger institutions out there that are truly, what we call retail type organizations that are great from so many facets. But when you're a small business owner and you need to have those conversations on figuring out, hey, is this the right step or is this the right move? Your bankers can be invaluable for you in that regard.
You know what, Jeff? I never even considered even explaining to my audience the difference between a banker and a lender, and he just nailed it on the wall, guys. He said your lender just gets you money. They don't care about your credit score. Well, they care about that. They don't care about your limits. They don't care about your utilization and just things that your banker will be like, hey, Bob, you already have a loan with XYZ company. You already over this percentage, or, they will advise you. So, guys, if you're looking for a relationship, start with the bank. Start with your home where you're already putting your money in and all of your resources in, and make sure you build a relationship. And I've always said this to you guys throughout the years that I've been live streaming and having the radio show, is that you want to be in your banker's face. If you call SunTrust in Clinton, Maryland, Olu knows me, okay? All right, he's going to say, oh, that's Sade. He knows me, okay? So you're supposed to have the same relationship with your banker. They're supposed to really know your name. So if you're not visiting your bank often enough, do you even still recommend small businesses just update their financials on file with you guys, with your banker, or so they can really build relationships and you guys can see their growth, or that doesn't work anymore in terms of building relationships and having that future prospect of maybe getting funding in the future? Do you guys still recommend that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's carrying on that conversation and that touch point, right? Where, we always say the hardest time to get money is when you need money.
Yep.
And so it does serve small businesses and anyone in general well to develop that rapport and that relationship prior to. And so it's, when you don't need money is when you're having great times, right? And so that's when you want to start those conversations and saying, hey, Mr. Banker, this is what I have going on. This is what I'm doing. Share those excitements with your banker and start developing that rapport, because you're building that relationship. And what it comes down to is there are years like 2020, and unfortunately, we've all experienced the hardships that come with a year like this year. But I'll tell you that the people that I've had the open channels of communication with for months and years now, those are the people that I worry the least about, because I know that, hey, this is what's going on with them. This is how they're making it through. And I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, how can we help you? And those are the people that are fresh, ingrained within our organization, who have been, active in what they're doing. And so we're actively reaching out and, saying, hey, how can we help you? Versus if, we have not had that correspondence, it's not that I'm neglecting you. It's just that there's so many people looking to get something during this time, or having a need during this time, that we want to make sure you're on the forefront of that. Or as a small business owner, you want to make sure you're on the forefront of that thought process for your banker and your organization. And so that's why I would stress the importance of, good times, bad times, whatever you're going through, keep that channel of communication open with your banker and talk through those things. They'll be able to help you.
That was good. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so I know the audience, and I know you guys are wondering, because we're in the process of completing the PPP forgiveness applications for a lot of our clients and individuals that aren't out. Well, they are our clients once we serve them, but we didn't assist them in the application process. And so, Jeff, what I noticed is that the individuals that didn't properly calculate their loan amount from the initial phase, they're actually are not getting all of the loan forgiven. They're owing thousands and thousands of dollars. So from your experience, from your perspective, where are we currently with the forgiveness process?
Yeah, great question. So as I'm sure everyone is aware, the forgiveness process is still evolving to a degree. The SBA has released some additional guidance over the past few weeks that really was different than what they led us to believe in the beginning. And that difference is that originally EIDL advances were thought to be in addition to PPP. So a lot of small businesses took out what's called the Economic Injury Disaster Relief loans from the SBA that are a separate product from the PPP. Those EIDL loans were administered solely by and managed through the SBA, and then the SBA has come out retroactively and now said, well, we view that as double dipping, and so we're not going to forgive whatever advance portion you received of that EIDL when you apply for forgiveness on your PPP loan. And so what that means is, as a small business owner, whatever amount that you had, if you did receive an EIDL loan up front, the SBA has netted that amount out. And so the good news is, as far as a loan is concerned, it is a 1% interest-bearing loan product, which is a phenomenal rate. No one would be able to borrow money at that interest rate. So the government is still recognizing that, hey, these are difficult times, and we're going to make this burden as low as possible via a 1% interest rate on the amount that is outstanding for those EIDL portions. But unfortunately, those portions they have determined are not forgivable, and so those are accruing interest at 1%, and there's a period of time for the companies to repay that loan. What is important is that the loan documents that you signed originally with your institution was a repayment schedule based on the full loan amount. So let's just use, as an example, $10,000. Your company received a $10,000 PPP loan, but you also got a $1,000 EIDL loan advance, okay? And so when you applied for forgiveness with the SBA, they forgave $9,000 of that PPP loan and left that $1,000 residual balance. What's important is when those documents were drawn up for your PPP loan, the repayment of that PPP loan assumed that the full balance would need to be repaid. And so the payments are based on that $10,000 balance, not on the new $1,000 balance. So it's important to pick up the phone and call your banker and say, hey, now that I've gotten forgiveness, and now that this greater portion of the loan has now been forgiven, I would like to recalculate my payments based on this new lower amount. So, for example, using that $10,000 example, when you had $9,000 forgiven and you have $1,000 remaining, the payments on that loan could be $700 a month, or whatever the term is, for that original $10,000 loan. But now that you only have a $1,000 balance, you want to recalculate that payment over the life of the term for that $1,000 balance.
Okay, so guys, you guys get what Jeff's, and I'm going to break it down in layman's terms. So for many of you, you've already received the EIDL advance. So the advance was $1,000 per employee. So let's use one of my clients. They had 10 employees, so they ended up receiving the $10,000 grant, the advance, right? So now his PPP loan was $90,000. So now we were able to get all of the 80% $80,000 of the $90,000 forgiven, but the $10,000 advance is what he has to repay. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
But the original loan, when they received that $90,000 loan, the loan documents contemplated no forgiveness. They just said, hey, if the SBA does not come back and forgive any of this, this is what your payments will be. And those payments were based on a $90,000 loan balance. And so one of the first and immediate ways you can find some relief is that now you have gotten forgiveness of some amount, hopefully. And if you haven't, pick up that phone and call your banker until they get it done for you, because banks should actively be doing everything they can possible for your small business right now to get that PPP loan forgiven in the most amount that the SBA will accept. And so now let's assume you have that $10,000 balance. You should what's called re-amortize the payments based on that $10,000 balance versus that original $90,000 balance. And that's what goes back to, taking your payments from $700 to less than $100. And each loan is going to vary, obviously, but it's a dramatic reduction in payment because the principal balance of that loan has been dramatically reduced.
You know what, guys? That's you make a note, especially for all of you that have received the PPP loan. Don't forget, you guys can give us a call and ask me and Jeff some questions at 301-232-5700. Don't be afraid to come and ask your PPP questions. He's here, and he's a resource for you guys right now. So don't hold back. He will probably love to be able to talk about how Vista can maybe help you guys, or if you're especially in the Texas area, how you may be able to work alongside with them and maybe become a client. So what we're going to do, guys, if you can like this video, go and follow Vista Bank as well, and then comment below PPP on any of the videos or streams that you're seeing us on, and let me know whether or not you were able to get your PPP forgiven by putting PPP in the chat. And do me one favor, share the video and get your notepad or a new notepad, because we're going to be dropping some more gems. So what we're going to do, allow Jeff to take a break, and myself, give us two minutes. Oh yeah, Jeff, don't hang up, please. Give us 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back. Many entrepreneurs fail is because of their self-avoidance, that lack of self-accountability, and really focusing on yourself. So many of the times we're afraid to leverage relationships because we also didn't know we didn't do all the work that we needed to do. So take advantage of what Raven just said. If you have friends that are in high places, leverage those relationships, but make sure you do it strategically and make sure there's some strategy behind it. Many of you are starting businesses because it looked like it, everybody else is doing it. It looked cool. It looked this, and it's not around your purpose and your passion.
Hello.
So what many of you are doing is you're taking those shortcuts in those businesses that you guys presently have because you never initially started up on the right foot. Because that's one of the things when I ask new startups, they're not clear. They cannot tell me the age, the demographics, the income, the avatar of their client. So from your perspective, how important is identifying your target market and getting that business off the ground? That the millennials want the success right now, right away. They don't have the courage to continue past year one if they had a year of failures. So right now, if you are that millennial and you've quit on every idea that you started or every new business, stop and put in some work for at least a year or two in something consistently, and then judge your success off of that. You cannot judge your success because you didn't got a Shopify page and you put it up there, you put the link in your Instagram, and nobody bought for over 6 months. Like, you cannot say you did your job by just doing those few basic steps. You have to do the leg work. So books like Raven's workbook, The Game Changer, is that part of the leg work that I see from my experience, many millennials try to avoid. Yes, you may not need the old school business plan, but you need some type of plan. Success. 2020 is the year that everything impacts your bottom line. And as an accountability accountant, I've seen it. I've seen when clients are not, number one, transparent and honest how it impacts their bottom line. I've seen when clients aren't operating in their greatness and accepting responsibility, how it impacts their bottom line.
Take accountability for your actions. You can take all the credit in the world for the things that you do right, as long as you also take responsibility for the things you do wrong. It must be a balanced equation. You don't get it one way and not the other. You get to take credit when you also take accountability.
Hey guys, welcome back. Oh my goodness, guys. I hope that you were able to, get yourself together so you can learn a little bit, because I know many of you are very curious. You're holding it together, and I just commend all of you. I pat all my entrepreneurs on the back, y'all. We're winning because we're holding this, and we're still building a business, and we're still optimistic, and we're still hustling and grinding. So if that's you that I'm talking about, I pat you on the back. Jeff, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So look, I know the audience want to know, are we going to get any other type of funding opportunities? Is it any other type of loan programs in the pipeline? Can you fill us in?
We think so. The short answer is many of your audience members may have heard, Janet Yellen, who was, I believe, President Obama's Fed chair, has now accepted the nomination that she will be the Fed chair for President Biden. And so given that, she has signaled that she likes the Main Street loan program and the PPP loan program. And so we're very optimistic that there will be another installment of both of those programs. As you may know, there is a legislative package currently of $908 billion, I believe, that's making its way through and being debated on the House floor currently. And we hope that is going to be resolved and passed prior to the end of the year here, but that will be the first installment. I believe there are some $300 billion of that entire package that is going to be allocated towards another installment of PPP. Now, to that extent, the debate remains what that will look like. Right. Is it going to be the exact same as it was the first round? Is it going to be open only to those who didn't receive it or did receive it the first round? Or is there going to be some further, what we call collars, or some further burden on the business owner to show proof of that you sustained economic injury, or that you have had less revenue than you would otherwise have had? Because the honest truth is that there are companies out there in various sectors who have had a record year, right? I mean, think about people in the PPP or the PPE, the personal protective equipment space. I mean, unheard of year, right, in terms of revenue. And so I think the government is just ensuring that the companies that are going to receive it are companies that need it, and not just companies that can get it. But the first round, as we know, was open to everyone, and so the debate still looms of what the next round will look like, but we do, in fact, feel very optimistic there will be another round.
I'm really interested in all of this because right now in PG County here, they've actually already started to issue grants and funding for us to start to rehire. They call it re-employ PG County. And so it just seems like, honestly, the states and the federal, we're all just all over the place, but I'm hoping we end up connecting at some point. And realize that small businesses are really the backbone of the economy, and we do need something. So I do appreciate you guys, advocating for the small businesses. So from your expertise, Jeff, what exactly can a small business do right now to prepare possibly for another shutdown, but then also to be able to sustain while we're going through this pandemic?
Well, first thing I would say is one, work on your forgiveness. That is if you received PPP funding in the first round, it's very important to apply for forgiveness promptly so that you know where you stand, if you'll have it all forgiven or have some amount that you'll owe. But to get a better grasp of your financial picture, because that's an element of it, right? Because until it's forgiven, it is in fact a loan. Followed by that, I would say it's important to be nimble and important to, work within the boundaries that you're given. And there is so much frustration nationwide, obviously, on the various governments approaching this in various matters. And the short answer is none of us know if we'll be open next week or what actions our governments are taking are beneficial. Hindsight's always 20/20, and we'll figure that out. But I would say, to the extent possible, look at every avenue that you have to operate within the confines of the regulations that are being rolled out from the local municipal governments or the state governments. And again, I can't stress the importance enough to pick up the phone and call your banker and say, hey, this is my situation, because our interest is in your success. If you're not making money, your banker's not making money, right? And your bank's not making money. And so their interest is aligned with yours in finding every avenue feasible to work with you during this time if there is a loan or an element of debt in your business equation. And so if you are constrained from a government regulation currently, your bank's obviously going to have much more reason to work with you because it's no fault of your own. And that's, again, what our government our federal government at least, has tried to emphasize in this process of rolling out these loan programs is they recognize truly that this was something that was unforeseen, and they're trying their best to help keep these small businesses and Main Street, as we call it, afloat, because truly we all know that's what makes the world go round. That's what is keeping our economy going. And so I would just encourage you to reach out to any lifeline that you may have if you're in that situation.
Guys, Jeff said a key word, and if you've been watching me for years and years, I always asked you, I've always told you guys to prepare for unforeseen circumstances. And this pandemic was one of those unforeseen circumstances. And many of you were not, or you were ineligible to apply for the PPP because you didn't have your paperwork together. You weren't able to apply for have your bank statements. I said your bank statements. You didn't have your tax return. You didn't know your net income, or if you had a net loss. You didn't know anything. And so remember, right now we're sitting in a situation that we can all learn from. Even if it's some detrimental to some of you, we have to always look at what we can take from it and learn from it. And if you weren't prepared financially, meaning you were in over your head over debt, you weren't really paying your bills on time, and you just didn't have your stuff in order and running your business like a real business, just know the businesses that had their stuff in order, they were able to take advantage of all of the PPP and different funding opportunities. They didn't have to do the SBA scams or, just try to overextend themselves. And and more than likely, they aren't winging their businesses. So if you guys are watching today's show, I really want you to ask yourself, are you winging your business? Are you preparing yourself to be set up and in a good position if there is another unforeseen pandemic or some other type of unforeseen circumstance that's not in your control? And another thing, Jeff, that leads into my next question. That's one of the beauties of dealing with the community bank and having a relationship with your banker, and also having an accountant, because the moment these programs started to be pushed out, we picked up the phone calls, Jeff. We called them. We called the banks. We called and connected the dots. And so I know you guys probably, your bank managers probably did the same thing, call 25, 30 people that they know off the top of their head that probably would benefit from this program. And so my question to you is, what are some of the advantages with dealing with a community bank like yours?
Great question. Our perspective has always been that, our business owners are and always have been the economy's first responders, right? And community banks were there to help them put America back to work. And I say that from the standpoint of, it was on full display that our small businesses and our community banks were paramount in this equation, because yes, your larger companies and your larger banks do play a valuable role in our economy. But where the rubber meets the road is where those interactions and those relationships take place. And those relationships occur and have been building for years in a lot of instances. And I reiterate what you said of having your affairs in order and having those open channels of communication with your bankers are so important. But I would say from a community banking standpoint, we just kept hearing the story over and over again from, especially during the second tranche of the PPP loan process. And Vista Bank was fortunate enough to make 2,000 plus PPP loans, and over 75% of those were to non-clients. But we kept hearing from people, to your point on having your affairs in order and having your paperwork done, that the larger institutions were not accepting non-clients. And we took a look at that and said, hey, this isn't right. We open our doors to anybody who needs help during this time, because, again, anybody and everybody who has done what they're supposed to do should be helped, regardless of whether or not they're a client. And so we opened our doors, and we're very fortunate to have the leadership of our organization make that decision early on, when we kept hearing that our clients and non-clients alike couldn't get through to anyone on the other end of the phone, and couldn't get a response to an email from some of the larger institutions. And quite frankly, our leadership and our board sat around a table 5 years ago and thought, is there a place in the world anymore for community banks? Because as we all know, everything's going online and going to the app on your phone and going to everything is electronic and streamlined in that regard. But then this is what we've called the Great Reset. Of it kind of leveled the playing field and once again gave community banks a voice and gave community banks an opportunity to shine and do what we do best, which was leverage our relationships and leverage our ability to communicate and reach out and work 24/7 and not shut the doors at 5 o'clock, and be a resource to people when they need it most, because that is what we are able to offer, given our size and ability to be nimble and agile, like most of your entrepreneurs that are on the phone tonight and listening to this podcast, that their size affords them a lot of ability to do things efficiently, whereas your larger companies just can't do it because there's too much corporate bureaucracy, right? They have too many layers of decision makers, and thankfully our leaders in our organization had the foresight to see, hey, this is something that we need to go all in for to help these people. This is something we got to do. And so, to your question, that's what really leveled the playing field and gave community banks a voice and an opportunity to come through when the community needed us the most.
Guys, I have to make this so funny. Look, okay, so the banks are experiencing a major wealth transfer. So, Jeff, we always say right now we're going through a major wealth transfer. And I always talk about it in the sense of the small businesses. I never once considered that the community banks, the smaller banks, are actually winning right now. They were able to sustain and get funding, and you guys are really opening up the door and expanding to a particular clientele base that you wasn't at all maybe possibly working with. You've been able to really serve, and I think I went on your website. It's like you guys ended up funding like over 2,000 plus loans, over $167 million for small businesses just in Texas alone. So guys, look. If the banks feel like this is a great reset, meaning they're getting another opportunity to scale and grow and become big time, your small business can use this opportunity too. This is your great reset as well. The same way that the banks had to look and see how they can serve and be of a resource is the same way you as a small business owner are supposed to be looking at this climate right now and ask yourself, how could you show up and how could you serve? Okay? And so while you're actually showing up and serving, you now also need to consider, where are you going to put your money at? Are you going to put your money into the big banks? Are you going to put your money into the small banks? My recommendation is to do them both. So when that big bank fail you, not saying that they are, I don't want to say that, I'm a small business advocate, okay? But if the big bank fail you, you have a relationship already established with your community bank, okay? So if you're going to go and deposit 10 grand, take 5 grand, put that in your community bank, take the other 5 grand, put in your big bank, split it out. Maybe have your household bills, household bank accounts in one, and maybe have your business bank account in one, but split it out. However way you do it, try to, feed both pies. So, Jeff, before we let you go, because we're winding down, is there anything in particular that we should be looking out for in 2021 in terms of lending and any type of changes that we should foresee in the future?
Yeah, I would say again, credit is tight, no doubt, and the best advice that you have given that I advocate for 100% is to make sure that you have your financial affairs in order, make sure you have your paperwork in line, that when you go have that conversation with your banker, if you haven't yet, to know where you stand and to share it with them, put it all out on the table and have that conversation of what's next, what do we do? And we are optimistic again that there is going to be another CARES Act opportunity. And so if you were unfortunate to have a poor experience with your existing bank in the prior process and weren't able to get a PPP loan, for example, start now before it launches on the second time around, so that potentially you can be eligible and potentially that you can at least know, hey, this is why, so that you can plan and prepare yourself and be in the best position possible to take advantage of any opportunity. I would say as well, the Fed said interest rates will remain low for the next year, which has greatly helped our housing markets across the country thrive in 2020. Unsuspected or an unanticipated effect of this whole pandemic has been that the housing market has been on fire, and houses are moving at all-time record sales, and so that partially is driven by the low interest rate environment. So that is one good positive effect, and hopefully, as the Fed has alluded to, those rates will stay low through next year and continue to help both small business owners and home owners alike in terms of keeping that rate low. But time will tell. I'm not a certified financial advisor, but I'd say based on the trends that we've seen that interest rates are going to stay low. Develop that rapport with your banker, have that open line of communication, and don't give up. Don't get discouraged, because again, bankers, community banks, big banks, anybody in between, none of us would have a job if it weren't for the entrepreneurs that make the world go round. And we truly can't tell you enough how important of a role you play, no matter how big or how small or what widget that your company manufactures or service that you sell. You're important, and you do a service to so many people, and we thank you for what you do for your families and your communities, because that is truly what makes America great.
I love that. That was an amazing closeout. So, guys, if you're not following Vista Bank, head on over to Instagram, VISTA Bank. Okay, follow them, and follow them as well on Facebook, and just walk into the bank if you're in Texas. If you're one of my clients, I know we're struggling with a few banks in that area. So if you know it's time, you don't really know your banker, walk into Vista Bank and say, Folasade did a talk show with Jeff, and you want to see what they can offer your small business. Really go in, because, guys, this is the time that we really do get our financial house in order. It's going to be embarrassing, that we go through all of this and we're still end up not having our stuff in order. Things happen like this for a particular reason, and it's probably time for you to get your financial house in order. Jeff, I want to say thank you so much, and thank Vista Bank for allowing you to grace your presence here on the Money Zone. And I look forward to maybe even talking with you in the future and seeing how you can maybe serve some of my clients, and well, not you per se, but maybe you can direct someone I can send my clients to in your area as well. So thank you so much, Jeff.
Absolutely. Well, me personally, if I'm afforded the opportunity, but thank you and your audience for giving us the voice to hopefully be beneficial to you all tonight. But thanks to you for putting this on and hosting us.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, guys, so tonight's show, you learned quite a bit. So remember, there's a major difference between, let me just do a brief recap, then the show is over. There's a major difference between your banker and your lender, okay? Your lender is really concerned about maybe getting you the funding and the percentage rate, the interest rate that they're going to collect on the end of the deal. Well, your banker, they want you to get the funding as well, but they know what that impacts. They know it impacts your personal credit, your business credit, and this and this and that. and then they're willing to coordinate with your accountant and other financial professionals that you work with. And so I think many small businesses, guys, we get things mixed up because we think that we can do it all. We can wear all hats. No, guys, you do need an accountant. You do need a lawyer. You do need a banker, okay? All right. You do need a certified financial planner. You may even need a a wealth advisor. Okay. Well, all y'all men that's straight. Yeah, you need a wife. Okay. But you may also need a wealth advisor that can pull it all together. So while I'm giving you guys the tax strategies, your wealth advisor is looking at the bigger picture and say, okay, well, Folasade, what do you think about converting this to a trust? What do you think about doing this? And they're connecting all of the pieces to the pie from every team member. So guys, if you don't have your personal banker, it's time that you've established, you heard it first from the senior vice president of a bank, okay, that you do want to establish a relationship with your bank. And guys, we're going into a totally new year. And 2021, I know you guys expected 2020 to just be absolutely amazing, but I'm a firm believer in God, and I'm a firm believer that it's actually what we made. And the people that were optimistic and were positive, they're dominating right now. And the people that stayed faithful and prayed and pivoted in their businesses and ended up maybe getting the PPP loan or qualifying for the EIDL, they were able to use that and leverage and scale and grow. But the individuals that didn't do what they were supposed to be doing prior, didn't have their accounting in order, didn't have their overall financial affairs in order, you're struggling right now, okay? And you're on the brinks, and I'm seeing it. And it's okay, but we have to make the change now rather than later. We don't know what's in store. We don't know what can happen. I saw an Instagram post, talking about that there's a possibility that Trump may not even come out of office, that we're still waiting for votes. I'm like, what? So look at me. I think I was driving to the show. I'm like, okay, I need to go and look at the Constitution now, okay? So guys, it's just a lot of uncertainty. So if I were you and I'm a small business owner, I would definitely get my financial affairs in order. And guys, before I close out, I want to let you guys know that we are accepting promotional and partnerships with any small business that's looking to grow your business. You're looking for me to promote your product, your services, or your program. Definitely go and join our mailing list as well by going to bit.ly/TMZ get notified TMZ. I thought I gave you the banners. Trying to run on the banners. Leon, give me my banners. Okay, see, they missed that. That was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Okay, but yeah, guys. Nope, 2 weeks ago. All right, guys. So look, y'all always seeing behind the scenes of a great show. So, guys, look forward to seeing you guys next week. Please go follow Vista Bank. And like I said, if you're not satisfied with your bank and you're in Texas, go walk in and tell them Folasade seeing you guys. And I hope that you all have an amazing Christmas and happy holidays. Bye, guys. By going to bit.ly/TMZ, all caps, get notified, and look out for what we have coming out in store and all of our guests coming on the show, guys. Tonight was amazing. I hope that you guys learned a lot, and I'll see you.